Hello and welcome to Beyond Boundaries. Today I am joined by Simone Dossetor. Hello, Simone.
Hey, Matt.
Simone, CEO, that is your title, isn't it?
Is,
CEO
yeah.
of Insurtech Australia.
Yep.
I feel like I know you just brilliantly from everywhere around the world that I've seen you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the nice things about this role. I mean, Australia is a long way from a lot of places, so it is nice to just have the opportunity or the excuse to get out and kind of connect globally. So, we've been doing that the last couple of years. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Tell me the origin story of Simone. How did you get to the point of CEO of Insurtech Australia?
Yeah, so I've always been an insurance person. So I see that as, when someone says, what do you do? I always say, I work in insurance, and that's probably the end of the conversation. So I was in consulting and then in corporate roles. I was with Munich Re. I was their chief operating officer, and I've always been really interested in innovation. I had done a lot of M&A and joint ventures and startups. And I think, through my whole career since, quite a while ago, since the late 90s, I really wanted to see insurance improve, and it really was quite slow to do that. And at Munich, Insurtech Australia was just, when I was there, they were just sort of setting up, and I was involved on the board. And Munich at that time was doing a lot of innovation kind of activities. They were investing, Andy Rear in the team, but it wasn't directly relevant for my role. So I was kind of involved, but on the periphery. And then really just an opportunity came up. The CEO had set it up and had sort of, was one of probably the first insurance associations kind of globally. I wanted to move on, and it was a point in my career where I wanted to stay in insurance, use all that knowledge and the buzzwords and the networks and everything that I had, but do it on something quite different. And so really the opportunity to work with the startup businesses and to really be part of that journey. And I thought, my knowledge could really help expand and improve that. And that's, really been what we've been doing, and it's been, it's a lot of fun, actually.
And when did you join the association?
So it'll be coming up to 4 years in October. So, we've been, and we went from really just kind of a couple of part-time people and a lot of sort of enthusiasm to really being able to, grow the team, but really expand what we do in terms of the members, in terms of how we engage with the insurers and the brokers and everyone else in that ecosystem. How do we move beyond probably just sort of general insurance into life and, hopefully into health, more insurance, and then, really those global collections as well.
And so what if you were to paint the picture of the association as it stands today, what do we see it as?
So we're primarily, and that's always been the mission, is about an ecosystem. So how we can bring companies together, how we can collaborate. Insurance is a very collaborative industry, as you know. And so really, how do we help the startups on that journey? And we still get people with an idea and a problem they want to solve, and how do we help them say, this is where you should go, how do you test it? Or don't try that, it's been tried, it hasn't worked as well, is equally important. But also, how do we help the insurance industry itself? It is kind of slow moving, it is risk adverse. So how can we help bring these opportunities in that external perspective, and also that perspective from elsewhere outside the organisations? And
what are the mechanics for doing that?
Yeah, so we're a membership organisation, so it's very around, we want people to join and, pay a fee, and that helps, keep us going. But then also you're running events, so it's very much around, in-person connections is still primarily what we do. Also, where is there opportunity to develop thought leadership? So that's something we've been doing sort of in the last 12 months with the Insurtech Down Under report that Sønr contributed to. And really, it's just finding different ways, and then how do we then start to also think about. So I know some associations globally are very much around advocacy and dealing with the regulator. We do some of that, but really just where it's member driven, it's not kind of our core activity.
Okay, and we talked about kind of inside out, if you like, from Australia to overseas, and hence meeting you everywhere but Australia. And here we are in Sydney, which is
finally,
lovely.
Yeah.
But also, I saw your event. You have an annual get-together conference. I'm not sure what you title it as, but I remember Stephen Barnum from Daiichi. He came over. There was somebody else who was a great name as well.
We had Brian Fulchuk.
Brian came over as well.
Spoke from the US.
So that's great. And so that, and whether it's the report that, as you said, Sønr contributed data towards.
Yep.
You've got that kind of international perspective coming back. But I also imagine, you talk about your own journey within Munich, right? You have individuals who are, whether startup or incumbent or other, they are in international firms as well. So they have that international sight and understanding, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think Australia's it is a really sizable insurance market. It's regulated, it's known, it's got an attractive climate. So it is a really attractive place that people do want to come into as well.
Yeah.
So we do, about 20 to 30% of our members are an international business that are also wanting to expand in, it might be their sort of first stepping stone. We have a number of New Zealand businesses. We work really closely with Insurtech New Zealand as well. So it's how do we make sure that also we're keeping Australia up with what's happening and we don't sort of stay sort of closed-minded, but we see what's happening in terms of open data and, in the UK or in Brazil, or what's happening in terms of payments, how is AI developing? So we want to be able to be the bridge to that.
Yeah, and so just going on that little sort of maybe a tangent for a second. So as a international business, a non-Australian business, looking at the Australian market as a potential expansion opportunity, what are the sells? What are the messages that you would put out as an association to attract that inward talent?
Yeah, so I think it's very much being a market that is, well established, sizable, regulated. So there's established ways. It's a very big Lloyd's market, so that's a really easy way to get sort of market entry. And we're quite adopters of technology. So for sort of the Insurtech businesses, we do have almost all payments are electronic. We do a lot of online commerce, all that sort of thing. So we've sort of moved into that phase. So we are an adopter of technology, I guess, compared to other regions and a large insurance market. So it's really just bringing those two things together to really see, particularly for those businesses that want to sort of test or develop a new market, it's being able to do that within a sort of capacity that makes sense.
And then the other side of that, I'm always fascinated by the kind of the international movement, because the obvious thing is you are miles away from anywhere, right? Apart from New Zealand, maybe.
I mean, that's always the biggest challenge I say you're never going to be able to fix is just pure distance and time zone.
Sure.
We're in the bad for both of those.
But tell me how. What is that feeling? From your members when they're setting up these businesses?
Yeah.
I mean, are they thinking globally from day one? And how easy and how supportive are you as an association to enable them to make that move?
Yeah, I think particularly the Insurtech, so those that are selling a technology service, they are very much thinking about those international markets, particularly if they're wanting venture capital. For the distribution type businesses, maybe there's enough of a market in Australia that they don't need to sort of look globally, internationally, and that's, I guess, what we try and do, working with the trade government associations, is to which market do they go into, when, how, and also that sort of sense of community. I think because we are a long way and in the wrong time zone, really being able to share those challenges, and we've got a very strong community who come to a lot of our events, and being able to know, well, don't do this around tax considerations, or this is the way to make most advantage of R&D grants, and, that sort of information and sharing, and also where there's common connections. So, for businesses being able to work together, they're already in with one client, rather than developing the extra tech themselves, who can they partner with? So we're really seeing strong connections. We were in Asia just in June, and, it was such a great group, and just really being able to bring them together around the activity around just going to a conference.
And that's a group that you brought from Australia into the Asian market.
That some of them, I think only one had been before. Some of them were really looking at, is Asia the right market for them? If so, where is Singapore the starting point? Where in Southeast Asia? What would they need to do? And really being able to introduce some very senior leaders to them that, supported and had a connection. Often they've got a connection to Australian marketplace to be able to help direct and make that journey easier.
Yeah, super cool. And also super attractive, and I can understand. I mean, it's the value of membership for you guys. And what about the just the kind of the local sort of vibrancy of innovation and technology in the Australian market? How sort of maybe strengths and weaknesses? What is the what are the strengths that you're seeing locally in terms of driving an industry forward, whether it's for domestic businesses or overseas?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of interest in, AI and automation adoption. So people like to use the technology. They know that customers want to use that technology. So I think a lot of the adoption at the moment is really around how can they streamline it.
Right.
How can they get rid of the bad tech or the old tech, or layer that on top. And they're, either sizable insurance businesses that need to do that at scale, or, the smaller businesses that can be more agile in what they adopt. I mean, there's definitely some which there needs to be is how do you then manage AI and how do you make sure that it's doing what it needs to do? It's a regulated industry and those kind of things. So there is, I guess a caution around it, but, almost everyone I'm talking to over the last sort of 2 years is, actively trialling it, is looking at ways really around how they can help, their employees and ultimately help their customers.
Okay. No, I love it. And then coming back to the association in its sort of makeup and fabric, you came into an organisation that was already set up. The vision was set.
Yep.
In part, I'm sure. How have things? So first of all, is that vision still the same vision that you adopted and pushed forward? But how have things changed, sort of under your tenure? As well, that'd be really interesting because the world has changed around us, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there's definitely a maturity of the sector. I think 5 or 6 years ago, it was very much around startups and the sort of sexiness of the industry. And I think now it's very much they're not startup businesses; these are established scale up. In multiple countries. Often they're got hundreds of people. So and also with this sort of AI, you don't necessarily need to have some of the infrastructure that you needed before. You can move much more quickly. So I think but fundamentally the vision is still the same. It's very much around that ecosystem. It's how we can bring change, how we can ultimately have a better experience for the customers, and how can we make the industry better. So that hasn't changed as much, but I think there's just a maturity around what we do because we have a bigger team now. So the more members and partners and businesses we can engage with and have as part of the community, that helps fund us to be have more activities. So that means we can be more successful in our delegations. It can be more successful in bringing, the best technology into Australia. We can help businesses move faster.
Yeah. And then there's another thing I saw recently. I think it was in fact, it was at the QBE offices. I feel that you launched or announced the alliance with Insurtech UK. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But I remember rocking up to that after some other event. I can't remember what we were doing in London. Maybe a Lloyd's Lab Day or something.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah. That's really come over the last couple of years, and great support from the UK Gov and the sort of free trade agreement between Australia and UK. And really seeing, there's such strong connections between the Lloyd's market and Australia and the insurance market. We had Melissa from Insurtech UK came out and spoke at our conference 2 years ago, cool. Which was super fun. And so, we've developed this pathway, which is supported by both the associations and supported by the UK government to give it some more structure. And it's really looking at how can we facilitate businesses between those two markets. So Australian businesses wanting to expand into the UK. So we've run 2 delegations over the last year. So businesses really, and having really positive interactions in that market. And then what we're now wanting to do is also to help, we have a number of UK businesses, but really where is there more synergies for those businesses to come into Australia and help them with that landing path. So there'll be a range of sort of activities we'll between kind of webinars and that sort of things virtually because it is a long way and it is a different time zone, but then hopefully we'll have some physical activities as well.
We're in Insurtech UK, so as Sønr, we're an Insurtech UK member. Yep. I think if they organise a trip to trip always sounds a little bit too close to holiday, doesn't it?
Trade mission, I think.
Trade mission is
like we call it.
But if they were to organise a trade mission for us to come to Australia, where we were going to meet with the QBs of the world, and we work with QB already, but others out here in the market. We'd bite the hand off for the opportunity, and I'm sure that will be happening. I'm sure Melissa's got
I think that's just working out the when and the time and who comes and how you fund it, that sort of thing. But I think very much we'd see great, we've seen sort of fintech missions, but no sort of pure insurtech missions. So I think certainly that's something we'd want to do in the next couple of years. And likewise, how do we help? I mean, it's great to go to the sort of insurtech weeks and those activities and really be able to do a lot within that compressed time. And, for founders who are travelling, they really want to maximise that time when they're there. Yeah.
And so imagine a world where you had all the team, all the budget. It was limitless for you. What are the things that you would love to introduce for Insurtech Australia that you would love to get going over the next few years? And maybe you are able to do this with the team and the budgets that you do have.
Yeah, no, definitely always nice to have more budgets and more team. I think we'd really like to expand into the other sectors in the insurance industry. I mean, it tends to get dominated by the general insurance, the property casualty. Life insurance we think is huge, has lots of issues, and we see that as a sector we'd really like to be able to help evolve. Health insurance here is also very separated, so how is there sort of health tech businesses? I think generally, there's some fundamental issues around affordability and claim service and really how can we help technology be the enabler of that. So we would really like to be involved and engaged in all those different conversations and really bringing that different perspective. Seeing more businesses set up, more businesses scale and be successful, and then how we continue to sort of advocate to regulators and government around what are the ways that we could have a better sandbox training data. Trade missions, all those kind of things. So it's just maybe ratcheting up the velocity of activity.
And is the how do I ask this in an open manner? What is how are these other associations around you? So whether it's regulators or others, how supportive of you as an association are they? How close are those relationships? And the assumption, this isn't an open question at all, assumption is that it's all moving in the right direction and you can just continue to push.
Right? I think we've got some great relationships now with the local insurance industry associations. We want to kind of continue to expand that and really want to be able to collaborate. So, they're all working on limited budgets with their different core missions. So how can we align what we're doing with what they're doing? It just makes complete sense. And then, where there's other startup associations on, similar sectors, property tech, health tech, reg tech, again, how can we collaborate and, ultimately, make it better for everybody? So that's really kind of that core focus, and it's really just time and capacity.
Well, look, Simone, I think I'm just going to wrap it up there and just say a huge thank you. It's genuine. It's lovely to hear more and learn more about the association, and having seen these trade missions that you've pulled together all around the world and been party to them in coming in. It's lovely to hear the I don't know, maybe more the kind of the core from a business perspective, right, as well. So, look, a big thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. It's lovely, and thank you for being here, and all you do to help promote the association.
Absolute pleasure. And if I can make it over is it February?
February for Insurtech Live. 18th of February.
Then I'd love to. Melissa, if you're watching this, try and get a trade mission aligned to at the same time, and then we'll be there. But a big thank you. And then thank you for everyone tuning in to this episode of Beyond Boundaries. Keep an eye out. I'm sure another will be coming out next week. Thank you. Thanks again.